Let's keep it real. 9/11 scarred our world and is a date that everyone in America can recall where they were and what they were doing when the Twin Towers were hit. Race and religion in the States has always been a touchy subject, and I think it would be fair to say that the way we look collectively at the Islamic world was changed or intensified for some due to the aftermath of that fateful day. My next guest explores how we interact with one another in the short The Visit, which is playing at the DC Independent Film Festival. Vishwas, welcome to Picture Lock.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much.
No problem. It's my pleasure. All right, I always love to start at the beginning. When did you first fall in love with film?
As far as I can remember, so I grew up in India, and India, as you know, has a huge film culture. Bollywood, is all pervasive and everywhere. And always wanted to be an actor, filmmaker, as far as I can recall. So I would say about 38 years ago.
Was there a particular film or anything that you were just like, oh, wow, I really love this, I got to do this?
Less about a film, more about the actors themselves, especially one actor. He's probably the biggest actor we've ever had in Indian cinema, and probably there'll never be anyone like him again. His name is Amitabh Bachchan. He has spoiled many young men and, goaded them to become actors. So it was more about him and the stature that he reached and the kind of stuff that he did on screen, and less about one film in particular, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you wrote, acted, and produced in The Visit. In terms of acting and the craft of acting, what is it that you enjoy about that?
I don't know. I just love it. I just enjoy it. It gives me a high that I just cannot explain, to be very honest with you. It's just to be able to tell a story, to be able to become a character, using your emotions, using your body, using yourself is something that just, I guess I've always enjoyed, I've always loved. It's hard for me to explain what I love about it, but I do love, it a lot.
It's just that thing that's burning inside you.
Yes,
I get it.
Yes.
I totally get it. All right, so if you can give the audience a quick description of what The Visit is all about.
So The Visit is the way we like to talk about it. It's like sort of like an upside down look at the present day racial realities, like you said in your introduction. We all know the world that we live in. We all know the stereotypes that are there. Everybody has stereotypes. Everybody has certain ways of looking at, everyone else. And me being sort of like what I like to call like a generic brown man living in the world that I live in, kind of live up to some of those stereotypes. And if I grow a beard, then those stereotypes get magnified. Mm-hmm. So, and I've always found it a little bit, of course there's a dark element to it, but it's also kind of weird and funny in a way that, and I just kind of, so this film talks about 11 minutes creates a situation in which certain people are influenced by those stereotypes directly or indirectly, and they act and react in a certain way. So we don't try to solve any problems. We're not trying to, provide a solution. Our goal was just to, show a situation that could very much happen in present day America, and then just force people to think as to how would they react in that, and who's right and who's wrong, and who's actually on, on what side. So that was the attempt.
Right. So, and I want to dive into that as well. But what inspired you to write it? Is it just the fact that, like you said, as a generic brown man, every day the different situations that you find yourself in, and so kind of life inspired the art?
Yeah. So the desire to create something, first of all, came out of the fact that I'm basically an actor, and I'm trying to write interesting parts for myself because no one else would. So and why this piece in general? I think because it kind of just came natural to me, like you said. You observe things and you see things, and they kind of register themselves in your inner subconscious. And actually, in reality, there were two separate incidents that happened to me. Nothing at all as dramatic or as bizarre as what's in the film, but enough for me to go, oh, what if these two things happened together, and what if someone did X, Y, Z? What would that mean? So it was a little bit of life imitating art, as you said.
Yeah. What I found interesting in watching it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is just brilliant. And let me tell you why. Because the way that you approached it is as I'm going to say the generic brand. What's your character's names? Let's call him that.
There's no name in there. Even in the IMDb, we call it the bearded man.
Okay.
So that's the whole point. As to a lot of people don't even know who's from where and what's what. You just see a generic brown man in a beard, and you're like, poop, 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 poop.
Right.
That's why we didn't want to give the guy a name or an ethnicity in particular.
Right.
He's just a generic brown man.
Right. Well, okay. So for the bearded man,
Yeah.
I loved how instead of from I guess an outside perspective telling this story, it's the bearded man that embraces the stereotype to help himself in a certain situation.
Yep.
And to me, I thought that was amazing because one, like you're like, okay, what's really going on here? But two, it just says so much in regard to the fact of kind of our preconceived notions. So I don't know. I just thought that was really smart because instead of coming from maybe an outside perspective, this was coming more from an interior perspective.
Yes, sure.
So yeah. So do you feel that this is an issue that needs to be addressed?
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, like I said, like we're all human. We react to situations. We react to things that have happened in the past to us or to people around us or to society in general. And we form preconceived notions and we compare everything, what's happening right now with what's happened in the past and relatively make decisions and we act. So I definitely think, it is something that needs to be addressed because, of course, at the macro level, at a 10, 50,000 foot level, there are powers and there are people and there are situations that are at play which are beyond anyone's control when it comes to everyday life, like people like you and me, but they impact us and they impact the way we act and the way we react. So I think all we can do is if we are ourselves faced with certain situations like the one depicted in the film, if we can think before we react and we choose to respond, I think that's something that we can do on an individual basis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all we can hope for, because I don't think you and I we could solve all these problems with a clean brush or something like that.
Right.
And that's why I wrote this, and that's why we left it the way we left it, is so if somebody watches it and if they get into it, it can force them to think, oh, so who's right, who's wrong,
Mm-hmm.
what would I do, and is what he did right or is what he did wrong? What should he do next? And hopefully they'll start that internal dialogue. So if you or someone else is faced with that situation, you can at least sort of think and pause and just think before you react, something like that.
Yeah. So again, I'm talking with Vishwas, the writer and star of The Visit, which is playing at DC Independent Film Festival. It's definitely a conversation starter. You said this was like one of your first productions that you actually produced, right? Let's just talk about producing it.
Sure.
How long did it take to shoot the film?
The actual shooting was over 2 days on March 7th and 8th. So we just moved here, me and my family, we just moved here to the DC area to about 2 months ago.
Okay.
I lived in New Jersey, so we shot over a weekend, March 7th and 8th, 2 locations. The indoor scene is actually in one of the rooms in our house, and the outdoor scene was in a gas station, which one of my friends works at, so we were able to get that. So 2 days,
Okay.
the actual shooting.
All right, and then in terms of the actors that are acting with you, where did you find them? They were great as well.
Yeah. So we really got really lucky with the casting, and they're all New York, folks from New York. Amr, who plays Wasim, he actually has family in DC. He used to live in DC as well. So we auditioned actors. We posted a casting notice on Actors Access, and people came out and auditioned. And that's how we found all of our actors. And in true Hollywood tradition, when it came to hiring an all-American Caucasian man, we went with an Australian. So, so David
Nice.
Harris he's actually from Australia, but you can't tell because he's that good of an actor.
Yeah.
And Ari and Anthony and Edward, who were also the 3 attackers. Also, we auditioned them and found them all in New York.
Awesome. All right. So, what are your plans for the future? Do you have anything else that you're writing right now? And
yes.
cooking
So
up?
since The Visit, I have written 3 more shorts, and there is one that I am particularly excited about. Me and my production partner, who is also the executive producer on this, Manav, we are in pre-production on that one. So hopefully we'll be shooting that again sometime soon.
Awesome. All right. So if people want to reach out to you or people want to see the visit, obviously they can go to DC Independent Film Festival next weekend to be able to see
Yes.
it. When it's playing on Sunday.
Yeah, it's playing on Saturday, March 12th
Saturday?
at
Okay.
1:10 p.m. in a block of shorts called Seriously Funny, and at the Naval Heritage
Seriously
Center.
funny? It's not that funny.
I guess the dark comedy.
Okay,
being,
okay.
yeah, it's definitely not,
Right.
hilarious, but it's I guess the dark comedy element of it, which qualified it for that block.
Awesome. And you said you're new to the area. If people want to reach out to you, acting, things like that, how can they do that?
I guess the best way would be my website, meetvishwas.com, MEETVISHWAS. That has all of my information, more than you would want to know, but it also has my contact information. And I would love to collaborate with people, and hopefully people will reach out and we can create some magic together.
All right. My man, create some magic, Vishwas. Thanks for coming on Picture Lock,
Thank
man.
you for having me. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.